An older woman who has been through a lot in her life, some of it very difficult. She understands perfectly well that life is not like a fairy tale. In today's story, she also learned a valuable lesson: when life offers you a chance, you have to take it. Do you want to know what happened to her? Then come and hear Beatrice's story and be surprised by her wonderful ending. Beatrice, in her 50s, had lived alone in the big city for many years. When her parents died, she had to return to her hometown and take over the family property. This return wasn't easy for Beatrice, as every place in the small town brought back memories of Christian, her first love. Beatrice and Christian had been together since they were teenagers. When Beatrice turned 15, Marie, who was also in love with Christian, made up a story that Beatrice had cheated on him. Christian, acting immaturely, believed what he heard and broke it off with Beatrice. A short time later, he started dating Marie, perhaps in revenge. Beatrice tried her best to show that Marie was lying, but she couldn't convince Christian. As she walked through town, Beatrice saw the bench where she and Christian used to sit on Sunday afternoons to drink ice cream and talk. These old and painful memories made a tear roll down her cheek. She didn't want to relive that feeling she had buried deep in her heart. She didn't want to think about the great love of the past, but now it was impossible to avoid these sad memories. Beatrice opened the farm gate and went inside. Everything seemed frozen in time, just like when she left. 34 years had passed since she left that place. Her heart broke when she saw Christian with Marie, and at the age of 16, she decided to go and live with her aunt in another town. Now, after all this time, Beatrice was back. The day after her arrival, Beatrice went to the registry office to sort out the inventory of the farm. Nothing in the town seemed to have changed. The bakery, the central square, and the sweet store were still there. As she opened the heavy door of the registry office, a bell rang softly. The place was empty, so she decided to wait, taking a seat in front of the desk. Soon a man appeared from the back, sat down, and without raising his eyes, said, "Good morning. What can I do for you?" Beatrice felt her heart racing and tried to answer, but emotion and memories made her speechless. When he realized that Beatrice wasn't answering, the man looked at her. His eyes lit up instantly. "It's been a long time since we've seen each other," he said. A deep silence filled the room as their minds traveled back in time. "It's true, Christian. It's been 34 years. That's a long time," she replied, after recovering from her surprise. It was then that Beatrice learned that Christian had graduated and was now the notary in charge of the registry office. She cleared up any doubts about her property and left the registry office. As she left, she breathed a sigh of relief. Christian was the last person she expected to see, but he turned out to be the first. In her thoughts, she reflected, time has been kind to him. He's very charming and handsome at 55. I saw the ring on his finger. He got married. He must have married Marie. Am I going to be stuck in the past now? To escape these memories, Beatrice plunged into restoring the farm and hired workers to help. Yes, dear friends, she was right in her thoughts. He really had married Marie. She spent a whole month on the farm, avoiding going out so as not to risk meeting Christian again. One day, her beloved cousin Holland came to visit. He owned a farm further away and learned that Beatrice was taking care of everything on her own. Holland came to offer his support if she needed help. Beatrice invited him for coffee, and the two of them began to reminisce about old times. At one point, Holland asked, "Have you heard the latest gossip going around, Beatrice?" "I don't have time for such gossip, Holland." "But what are they saying now?" she asked, curious. "Christian's wife, Marie, died a week ago, and they say she left a letter especially for you." "Died? I didn't know that. But what did she die of? And she left a letter for me? Why did she leave a letter for me?" "I don't know that, Holland. It must be gossip." Beatrice exclaimed in surprise. After her cousin left, Beatrice wondered how sad Christian must have been. 3 days later, Christian showed up at the farm with a downcast look on his face and a letter in his hands, saying, "I must fulfill my wife Marie's last will. She left this letter for you and asked me to be here while you read it," said Christian. Beatrice was shocked and thought, so it was true what they were saying. They sat down in the living room and Beatrice, with trembling hands, began to open the letter. Her nervousness was evident. She carefully unfolded the paper, dreading the contents that Marie had left behind. She wondered what Marie had written. Could it be another lie about me? I can't believe it. Finally, Beatrice opened the letter carefully and began to read. "Beatrice, in my last moments, I thank God for your return and for the chance to apologize to you and Christian. I made a big mistake with you. Christian, my dear, Beatrice never betrayed you. I always loved you and wanted to be with you. I was dishonest to win you over, Christian. But I never imagined that you would ever be able to love me the way you love Beatrice." Beatrice took a deep breath and continued reading the letter aloud. "Christian, you were a good husband, but I never saw the flame of love in your eyes when you looked at me. If I could go back in time, I would never have lied and avoided all this suffering. I suffered for not being loved as I wanted, you suffered for not being able to love me, and Beatrice suffered because I know that her love for you never disappeared. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you happiness together. With love, Marie." When Beatrice finished reading, they both tried to hide the tears that were flowing from their eyes. The silence that followed was heavy with emotions that didn't need words. Christian stood up slowly, took one last look and left, leaving Beatrice alone with her thoughts. Months passed and Beatrice tried unsuccessfully to forget Marie's letter. But it was impossible to erase those words from her memory. 6 months later, she could still clearly see Marie's shaky handwriting, as if the letter was right in front of her. Beatrice knew she had to forget. What's the point of apologizing now? She thought. One sunny afternoon, she decided to take a stroll through the city center to distract herself. Walking through the streets, she decided to go into the department store to do some shopping. She picked up the items she needed, paid for them, and just as she was about to leave, the door opened and there stood Christian. Their eyes met and time seemed to stop. "Good afternoon, Beatrice," said Christian as he entered, looking surprised. "Good afternoon, Christian. How are you?" as she replied, trying to sound casual. "I'm living, taking life as it comes, you know," he replied with a heavy sigh. "I know what it's like to live alone," said Beatrice, with a slightly sad smile. As she was leaving, Christian walked her to the door. Before saying goodbye, he stopped and said, Beatrice, I'm sorry I didn't believe in you when we were young. Forgive me." "It's all right, Christian. It's been a long time. It's over," said Beatrice. After speaking, she picked up the heavy bags and started walking. Christian realized that she didn't have her car and, wanting to help, offered her a lift to take the shopping. When they arrived at Beatrice's house, she invited him for coffee. Sitting at the table, the silence between them was full of unspoken words and repressed emotions. They both knew it was time to face these feelings. With a deep sigh, Christian gathered his courage, looked into Beatrice's eyes and said, "I'm sorry for everything that happened between us. We missed the chance to live a great love." "It's too late now," said Christian, his voice laden with regret. Beatrice looked at him, feeling the weight of the words. "Yes, we missed that chance," she replied softly. "But life always offers new chances. The secret is knowing when to take them." The silence that followed was full of tension and emotion. Christian's eyes were filled with hope, shining as brightly as ever. He took a deep breath, filled with sudden courage, and took a step towards Beatrice. Their hearts beat fast, synchronized by the force of the moment. Without saying another word, he approached her, leaned in and kissed her. It was a kiss full of unspoken promises, new beginnings and reborn hopes. For both of them, it was as if time had stopped, offering them a new chance to experience the love they had always known they deserved. The kiss was an encounter full of passion, mixing longing, love, and forgiveness. It seemed as if time had stopped, and the flames between them were rekindled with unexpected intensity. Beatrice looked deeply into Christian's eyes and said, Today you are mine. No matter the past, the time that has passed, our age, none of it matters. Today I will fulfill my dream of many years, darling. Desire that had been repressed for 34 years finally found freedom. The night was magical, full of affection and rediscovered love. Every touch, every glance, carried the depth of feelings held for decades. When morning came, they were still in each other's arms. Christian looked at Beatrice tenderly and said, Tonight I was yours, and you are mine forever, my love. Beatrice smiled, with tears of happiness in her eyes. We'll never be apart again, Christian. We'll enjoy every moment together, build new memories, and live the love we've always had for each other. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. Beatrice and Christian rediscovered the joy of each other's company, exploring life together as if they were young again. The farm, which had once been a place of pain and memories, now flourished with love and laughter. Their love was a testament to the fact that it's never too late to seek happiness, and that sometimes fate gives us a second chance. And so Beatrice and Christian lived happily, with their hearts intertwined and their souls at peace, knowing that they had finally found their way back to each other. Did you like this heartwarming story of Beatrice and Christian? Then let me know what you thought in the comments below, sharing what touched you the most. And to make sure you don't miss out on more stories full of love and new beginnings, subscribe to our channel and activate the bell to receive notifications of new videos. Your participation and support are very important to us. Thanks for watching and see you next time.